And so this video begins in Charlottesville, Virginia. Today, just before America's 250th birthday, we're stepping inside the homes of two of the most important figures in our nation's story. Thomas Jefferson's Monticello and George Washington's Mount Vernon, all in one day. From the mountaintop home of the author of the Declaration of Independence to the estate of the first president of the United States. This is a journey through the places where America was shaped. I have with me my copy of the Declaration of Independence that was purchased at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom just outside of the Hall of Presidents back in the day when they used to have a gift shop. This was purchased by my parents and I've had it ever since, and I thought it would be appropriate to bring it along with me for this road trip. There's going to be all kinds of U.S. history starting today and yesterday. This is day 2, July 2nd. And 2 days will be the 250th birthday of the country, as I was just saying. And for my first time today, I will be visiting the homes of the Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. A lot of people think George Washington signed this, but he didn't. He was actually controlling the Continental Army, about ready to fight the British in New York when this was going down in Philadelphia. So he didn't actually sign this document, but of course we all know he agreed with it. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if it's your first time. I'm Tampa J, coming fresh out of Knoxville and heading to some important positions or important spots in American history today, and I'm grateful to take you with me. I booked the tour for Monticello at 10:20 in just about an hour. It's the basic $45 per adult tour. They offer so many other tours. There's also a family-friendly tour that's geared towards kids from like 6 to 11. I'll put a website in the description of this video so you can follow along at home. I'm excited to go up to Monticello. It is right here in Charlottesville. If you could see through the trees and over the river, it would be somewhere atop of a hillside out there. And then after that, I have booked the 545 Mount Vernon tour, George Washington's home, about 102 miles away from this location. So I've got about a 2.5 hour drive after I conclude the tour at Monticello. So it's going to be a long day. And then I have booked a very I want to say a very great view tonight at a hotel outside of Washington, D.C. And I specifically got the Washington, D.C. view. So stay tuned. It's going to be a long day, and we're just going to let the camera roll today and experience both tours, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson's home, 2 days before the 250th birthday of this nation. I wanted to save this first time experience at both of these places for a special occasion, and here we are. All right, it was a long-winded intro, but it was absolutely necessary. Thank you for being here. As I always say, there's much ahead. And one quick note as I'm walking back to my car, I just want to point out I finally had a shining moment last night. Oh, lawnmower! I stayed in room 237. Spooky, right? If you haven't seen The Shining, you're like, what's so significant about 237? Oh wow, it's a robot lawnmower. That's cool. All right, making our way up this hillside, almost to the Monticello Loop. I'm gonna say Monticello and Monticello. Naturally, I say Monticello because I have family from Monticello, Kentucky. Okay, so they do have oversized parking lots for RVs and possibly trailers, not so sure. I had to park pretty far. This is the last parking lot all the way down the hill from the visitor center. They are busy. Welcome to the David M. Rubenstein Visitor Center. Looks like we check in here and go through security. This is giving me Jack Daniel's Visitor Center vibes just a little bit. We were there less than a week ago. All right, we passed security right here before we go to tickets over there. Check this out. 64th annual July 4th celebration right here at Monticello. Check that out. You still have some time. Maybe you can come on out. There is a Thomas Jefferson impersonator and John Adams impersonator are going to be there recreating the signing of the Declaration of Independence. All right, so here's the lay of the land. It looks like we might be taking a shuttle. Yeah, this is where we're at. A shuttle out to Thomas Jefferson's home. You can see it right there. The iconic Monticello. Also, Jefferson's grave is on property. We will see Thomas Jefferson's grave today. All right, checked in with tickets. They said simply just take the QR code, which I had already downloaded in my phone, go up the stairs to the shuttle, and you can see at the top of these steps what's going on. That's where we'll load. I've got 25 minutes. All right, before we go up the steps to the shuttle, let me peek into the Robert H. and Clarice Smith Gallery, Griffin Discovery Room. The field of knowledge is the common property of all mankind. With us, okay, a little discovery center for the Padawans. This is cool. Meet our people of Monticello. Thomas Jefferson, Cornelia Randolph, Isaac Granger Jefferson, and Edith Hearn Fawcett. And it looks like you just put this up to your ear. Oh yeah, check it out. I don't know if you can hear it.
1808. I congratulate you, my dear Cornelia,
Can you hear it? Thomas Jefferson.
Valuable art of writing.
Thomas Jefferson, 1743 to 1826, lived most of his life in this area. He named his plantation Monticello, or Little Mountain. He had many interests and talents: science, reading, math, architecture, gardening, and more. Let's take a peek inside. Oh, cool. We're about to go here. We've also got like a fossil dig going on here. A little archaeological dig for the kiddos. It's pretty neat. Little pieces of pottery. Oh wow, there he is right there. In statue form. President Thomas Jefferson. Alright, I was able to get my ticket scanned and welcome to the shuttle.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
At age 33, Thomas Jefferson laid out a revolutionary vision for democracy when he drafted the Declaration of Independence. In the centuries since, the ideas expressed in this document spread across the United States and around the globe, as more and more people have achieved their fundamental rights of equality and liberty. While Thomas Jefferson spent most of his life in public service, he often wrote that he longed to return to his home, here at Monticello.
In 1743, Thomas Jefferson was born 2 miles away on his father's Shadlow plantation. Indigenous Americans had already lived in this area for thousands of years, and this region remains the heartland of the Monacan Nation. By the 1730s, it was also the British colonial frontier. This 5,000-acre plantation was home to hundreds of people, most of whom were enslaved African Americans. Throughout your visit to this unique architectural icon and UNESCO World Heritage Site, you'll learn more about Monticello, Jefferson, his family, and the enslaved people who lived and labored on this plantation.
The shuttle's next stop is at East Walk. From this stop, the shuttle returns to the visitor center, stopping at Jefferson's gravesite along the way. There is also a gravel trail just over half a mile in length if you choose to walk down the mountain.
When you exit the shuttle, please turn towards the rear of the bus and proceed towards the brick pathway where a member of our staff is ready to help you. Whether your ticket is for a guided tour or a Gardens and Grounds pass, our staff can help make sure you get the most out of your experience. All entries into the main house are strictly timed as they are limited by capacity. Please have your ticket ready to show our team, and we'll help you with your visit. And thank you again for visiting Monticello.
Okay, we've hit the ground. Check out Jefferson's view up here. And here's the next shuttle coming. So it doesn't matter what tour you are, it is continuous. It looks like we're gonna head down here and check in to our tour, get linked up with our group. And if we wanted to, we could just walk straight up to Monticello right there. You can see it. There's the columns. Alright, I was instructed to go to waiting area number 2. And here are the other tours going on today. Slavery at Monticello, Archaeology in Action, Garden Tour, and also something called In Theater Meet Thomas Jefferson. I guess the impersonator is here today. And the tour I selected is called the Highlights Tour, 45 minutes. Alright, we've been asked to move to section 1, so we move up as the tours depart.
Hi everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Marty, and we're going to be together for about 45 minutes as we go through Thomas Jefferson's home. So welcome. A couple of things very quickly. First, I want to really invite everybody to please ask questions. Don't be shy, alrighty? This is our tour, not my tour. And then it's a hot day, and so safety is everybody's top priority. If anybody feels the least bit ill or faint or whatever, please let me know right away. And most rooms have a chair that you can sit on if you need to rest, or even sit on the floor. When we're giving tours for small kids, we have them sit on the floor, and there's no shame in that. So let's keep everybody healthy. Let me just point one thing out very quickly before we get going. Everybody see the weather vane on top of the house? We'll talk about that when we get up there, but let's go for a little walk and get a little drink of water, okay?
Alright, we're beginning to the top, starting the tour. They said that's the walkway to Thomas Jefferson's resting place, so we will do that after we conclude the tour. There it is. It's not as big as I thought it was.
So help yourselves to a quick drink of water, and then we'll head on up to the house.
Really nice. They have a hydration station over here. They got a fan going, and they got plenty of water.
Jefferson and his wife lived in this one-room building at the end of the south wing here, and right now that's a Market Jefferson display, also very much worthwhile.
Oh wow, right there. Alright, so we'll be back to this area. We're now heading up to the house. Nice little breeze as you clear that building there. Feels good.
This is a nice view of the house. You know, you're used to seeing the house kind of looking at it face on, like on the back of a nickel, and it's nice to see it off from the side. You know, it looks more three-dimensional. And the bunting is for our 4th of July ceremony. Every 4th of July, we have a naturalization ceremony. So immigrants from all around the world who live in Central Virginia come here to stand on the steps of Monticello to take their oath of allegiance to the United States. It's really moving. Thousands of people come to watch, and there's never a dry eye in the house. It's really quite spectacular. Jefferson grew up about 2 miles from here on his father's plantation, Shadwell. His father was a surveyor and got a land grant from the king. So he had about 3,500 acres, which included this mountain. Jefferson would come up here as a boy. He would explore the woods, he'd ride his horse, he'd come to read, maybe get away from the family sometimes. Some of you guys must know what that's like. And he decided at an early age he was going to build his house up here. And he called it Monticello, which means Little Mountain. He learned architecture by reading the 4 books of Palladio. Palladio was a Renaissance Italian architect, and so Jefferson taught himself Italian to read these books. Construction started here in 1769. Jefferson was 26 years old, and that was the same year that he started his political career. His political career ran for 40 years. So for much of that time, he was away from Monticello. He was still studying architecture, and he was also making a lot of design changes to the house. So the construction of the house actually took the same 40-year time span. The house wasn't complete until Jefferson retired from the presidency. And of the presidency, he said it was a splendid misery. He didn't care for it at all. He said it was daily drudgery, unceasing drudgery, and a daily loss of friends. So in 1809, he was happy to retire from the presidency, came back to Monticello, and he never left Virginia again. So the house that we'll be seeing is Jefferson's home in retirement. It's 90% original. Some of the glasswork is not. All the doors inside are. So this is actually where Jefferson lived. About 2/3 of the furnishings inside are original as well.
Oh, cool. Check out that clock up there.
So I mentioned Jefferson studied the 4 books of Palladio to learn architecture. And Palladio was a neoclassical architect, meaning that he used a lot of Greek and Roman influence. Jefferson has been called the father of our national architecture. He helped design the layout of Washington, D.C. So if any of you have ever been stuck on DuPont Circle, you can thank Thomas Jefferson for that. And he also designed the state capital of Virginia, which went on to influence so many other municipal and government buildings. It's hard to go through a small town anywhere in the country and not see either a library or a courthouse with a neoclassical facade, and that's thanks to Thomas Jefferson. We talked about the weather vane overhead. Let me just point out there's a compass rose up above with an arrow currently pointing due north, and the arrow's connected to the weather vane. So Jefferson could see which way the winds were blowing without even leaving the house. And those are the real winds, not the political winds. So why is this important? Jefferson took detailed weather observations every day, twice a day for 50 years.
Wow, right here.
In the hopes that gathering this information would someday be helpful in learning how to forecast the weather. So this is just a little window into his personality about how detail-oriented he is, forward-thinking, ingenuity, optimistic, wide range of interests. And of course, we're still trying to figure out how to forecast the weather. That's a whole other story. Any questions that anybody has? Yeah, it's a two-faced clock. The other face is on the inside. We'll take a look at it when we go inside. And on top of the house was a gong that could be heard for 3 miles. Jefferson's plantation, Monticello, was 5,000 acres, about 8 square miles. So the overseers could hear could know what time it was out of it.
Oh, wow.
Stepping
That's
into
good.
the home of a wealthy, aristocratic plantation owner.
Wow.
All right. Well, instead of having a formal entry hallway with a grand staircase designed to impress us, Jefferson has invited us to his own private museum. He wants to converse with us and educate us. Jefferson is a scholar of the Enlightenment, and so he believes that science, education, knowledge, logic, and reason will help promote human progress.
This is all Thomas Jefferson's stuff and collections.
Again, probably from the early era of the settlement of James House.
So it would have been probably
16th inaugural address, Jefferson said, every difference of opinion is not a difference of principles. You can disagree with somebody, but still respect them.
A bust of Alexander Hamilton. They did not get along. All right, we're going into Jefferson's suite. Check out these old chairs here. Jefferson's suite. Declaration of Independence. Oh, this looks like the study room. Some really old books. Please do not touch. Thank you, sir. Alright, wow.
So this is Jefferson's private 3-room suite. It consists of his library, his office, which he called his cabinet, and then his bedchamber, which we'll see in just a few minutes. I want to start by pointing out an 1818 engraving of the Declaration of Independence, and that's identical to the one that Jefferson would have showed visitors when they came to visit. As a reminder, in the spring of 1776, we had already been at war with Great Britain for a year when the Continental Congress decided we couldn't make amends. They had been trying to reason with the British, and finally in the spring of 1776, they decided to make the split. And Jefferson, at 33 years young, was chosen to write the Declaration.
33.
He was regarded as a rather reserved member of the Congress. John Adams said that Jefferson rarely uttered more than 3 sentences at a time, but he was well respected. Jefferson had a pet mockingbird. He let it fly around the room. Who knows what kind of mess it made, but he sang beautifully.
Jefferson's Mockingbird.
50,000 letters.
Take a look at all of these items used by Thomas Jefferson. So they said the books behind the plexiglass were actually used by Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson himself. More books touched by Thomas Jefferson. The Burroughs reports. All right, we're heading to his bedroom. This is the third room of his office and study.
Architecturally, this is an interesting room. We have the alcove bed and the skylight. We talked about the Italian and neoclassical influences in Jefferson's design of Monticello. And when he went to France, he served as ambassador in France from 1784 to 1789, and he became a Francophile. He loved reading French, including the architecture. So he brought back these French influences, completely redesigned the building, and what had been an 8-room home turned into a 21-room mansion, 11,000 square feet. It took another 20 years to finish building. And in fact, Martha Jefferson, his wife, didn't even live long enough to see the house completed. She died here in this room at just 33 years old from complications of pregnancy. In their 10-year marriage, the Jeffersons had 6 children, 4 of whom died in infancy or early childhood.
Wow.
On her deathbed, Martha Jefferson asked of Thomas Jefferson that he never remarry, and he never did. He also destroyed all of their correspondence to maintain their privacy, so we know much less about Martha Jefferson than we do about Thomas Jefferson. And he kept a lock of her hair preserved in his watch key. So every morning when he wound his watch, he'd have something to remember. So above the alcove bed is a closet and for out-of-season clothes, and the portholes are for light and ventilation of the closet. To get to the closet, Jefferson's enslaved butler, Burl Colbert, would ascend what is basically a ladder behind that door to retrieve the clothes. And Burl Colbert would have Jefferson shave and dress every morning. So I was about to say, Jefferson and Adams were fast friends in 1775. They bonded over this desire for American freedom. After we won our independence, they vehemently disagreed on some of the details of how the new country would work, to the point that they became bitter enemies, and they didn't speak for over 10 years. Finally, in their later years, Adams reached out to Jefferson and wrote, "You and I ought not to die before we explain ourselves to each other." So in their last 15 years, they exchanged about 150 letters and rekindled their friendship. And Jefferson had led a long and healthy life. By spring of 1826, he was 83 years old, and by late spring, his health was failing and he had become bedridden. By early July, he was delirious, intermittently waking up and repeatedly asking, "Is it the 4th? Is it the 4th?" He was clearly fighting to live till Independence Day. And sure enough, on July 4th, 1826, 50 years to the day after the ratification of the Declaration, Jefferson died here in this room. And 500 miles away in Braintree, Massachusetts, John Adams died the very same day.
That's right. Both Thomas Jefferson and Mrs. Jefferson passed away in the same bed. Pretty cool how he could go out one side to his office or into the room. And here are some of the possessions that have Mrs. Jefferson's hair. And some of his shaving. There's a shaving cup over there and magnifying glass. His pocket watch. His bifocals.
The left parlor door, and I want you to watch the right parlor door. Can you see? Make sure you can see. Here we go.
Automatic.
Ooh. 18th century parlor trick. What can I say?
That's cool.
So Jefferson saw this in France and had to bring it back. The doors are connected by a chain that is underneath the floor. So,
Jean-Luc Baptiste.
2 meals will be served here each day, 8 a.m. and supper at 4 p.m.
The old room.
In Jefferson's time, the room was also used for entertainment. So folding tables would be brought out at mealtime to accommodate all the diners and then put away so that people would use for other purposes as well. Jefferson was not a big fan of one big long table with somebody sitting at the head. Jefferson himself was obviously very aware of his own contradictions. He made the assertion that all men were created equal, and here he is owning people. He also was aware that everybody else was aware. It was an open secret. He had enslaved children with red hair running around the plantation. It was obvious. And his political opponents made hay of it during all of his political campaigns. But he was never able to resolve his personal conflicts. As early as 1785, he said, "I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, and that his justice cannot stand forever." And he said, slavery was a moral and political depravity. In the end, he only freed 2 people in his lifetime and only freed 5 more in his will.
This is like the breakfast room, the patio before the dining room. Got a bust of Ben Franklin up here. Also George Washington. Check out some of his silverware. Here we are exiting. Nice little wooden walkway. Over there is where we entered, of course. We're kind of wrapping our ways around the corner.
The second sentence of the Declaration of Independence has been called the greatest sentence ever written. Who remembers it? I know you do. Behold these truths, be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life,
Liberty and the pursuit of happiness.
Right. And I think we can all agree that that assertion that all men are created equal means something different today than it did in Jefferson's time. And I hope we can all agree that that's a good thing as well.
Yeah.
And Jefferson would have approved of that himself. He and his generation took the world that they inherited and they turned that world upside down. And Jefferson felt it was only fair for future generations to have that freedom to do as well. That's one of the liberties he thought every generation should have. He said that earth always belongs to the living generation, and the dead have neither powers nor rights in it. So we are responsible for the world we live in, and we can't blame our forebears for the problems that we're faced with now. Our job is to face those problems.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're looking at is the rotunda, or the library of the University of Virginia. So you are standing right where Thomas Jefferson stood with his telescope as he watched with great hope and for the future during the construction of the University of Virginia.
That's cool. All right, that was the tour. We can now meander around Monticello. And there's the famous dome on the back of your nickels. The Dome of Monticello. I think I'm getting used to saying Monticello. Okay, here's the hydration station right here. As they're setting up over here, a lot of people are setting up for the 4th. What you guys think about that? I'm not done here yet. Feel free to leave your comments, your opinions, your statements down there in that comment section. Also, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. Please pardon our 4th of July preparations. Check it out, there's a lot of seats. A lot of folks are going to be becoming citizens right here on the 250th anniversary of the country in just 2 days. They're doing the lighting right here, check it out. That's super cool to see. It's a hot summer in Virginia. Looks like we continue this way. All right, check this out. Archaeology in action. So this is a tour, but this is real life archaeology going down here. They've got the pits dug. You got the archaeologists going through all the wheelbarrows over there. I've never seen this in action. No, wait, I saw it once in St. Augustine, Florida. If you want to take this tour, it's Monday through Friday, 11 to 1, and it's just 20 minutes. Check out the pits over there. Looks like they uncovered a pipe. Looks like an old pipe in there. It could be a new one. All right, now here on the north side of Monticello, more tables here. It looks like a gift shop. The farm shop's a little packed in there. Looks like they got food. Somewhere here they were saying was Jefferson's wine cellar. So you turn the corner and this is the passageway underneath the entirety of Monticello to the other side. This is the North Privy, or Privy. I don't know, I said Privy. The loo, the toilet, the commode, the John. Not the Jefferson. Actually, it is the Jefferson. It's just cool to think about Jefferson touching all this stuff. All right, they have 250th Monticello specific shirts. Also, they got hats over here for you and tumblers. And they have their own handcrafted Monticello root beer. I was hoping for tea, but I don't see any tea. They do have Monticello water. And of course, they also have copies of the Declaration of Independence. I would get great use out of this. $12.95? Okay. I'm also gonna grab one of these stickers.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Do you want to try your hand at some quill writing?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Really, the secret is there is no secret. It takes practice
Okay.
to become good at it. So take any of these. Well, this one's a little bit dull, but you want to look for one that has a fairly good tip. So that one. And then use a light hand, but you do want to apply some pressure and go ahead and dip that in and then just practice. Hi, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. All right. And you can try your hand at some ink and quill writing. And yeah, just pick one of those. It's like a bird gonna fly away here.
There we go.
And then when you get your name perfect, the way that you want it, you can sign a copy of the Declaration of Independence and take it home.
No way.
Yeah.
All right, signing it. Move over, John Hancock.
I actually like this. And if you think it's hard, imagine having to write an entire legal document.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
I did it.
Do you want us to hang it up so it can dry?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right, I have signed the Declaration of Independence, and I signed it so big that King George III will be able to read it without his glasses from about 10 feet across the room. Inspiration, John Hancock. John Hancock. It's Herbie Hancock. All right, guys, so I'm going to pass through the passageway. It is 11:26, so I'm going to spend a few more minutes around Monticello, head to the resting place to Thomas Jefferson, take the shuttle back, and then see a couple things up there, and then I have to hit the road, 2-hour journey to Mount Vernon. So far, this is an amazing tour, learning so much about American history. Taking the coolest route. Oh, check out the windows here. So if we look out the windows, this is the ceremony grounds about to happen. Oh, this is the garden they were just working on. Check it out. Just imagine Thomas Jefferson passing under here. Okay, so this is the cellar exhibits entrance. Here's one of the storage cellars. Got barrels and wine. It's also got a window. There is a door here, a glass door. Celebration 250. Oh yeah, that feels good. More of the cellars. Wine cellar. Okay, right before you exit the tunnel, you find the kitchen here. From the first year of Jefferson's retirement in 1809, this space bustled with activity. Cooks also used conventional hearth cooking methods. A spit jack driven by lead weights slowly turned meats and poultry. That's the jack right there. Oh, okay. There's the jack in the fireplace. That's the contraption they used to cook the meats. And here is the living quarters for the cook's room. That fireplace is actually the same fireplace as the kitchen. It's on the back side of the wall. This room, completed in 1802 and located next to the kitchen, was most likely the home of the entire enslaved family. Skilled cook Edith Eddy Fawcett and her husband, blacksmith Joseph Fawcett, may have moved here in 1809. Fawcett's pursued a variety of activities here, including cooking, sewing, and mending, children's games, and recalled by their son Peter, spelling. Peter Fawcett. Mr. Jefferson allowed his grandson to teach any of his slaves who desired to learn, and Lewis Randolph first taught me how to read. Peter Fawcett, Cincinnati, Ohio, 1898. And here is the Jeffersons' first quarters on premises of Monticello. This is where they were living while they were building the main house. And down below, this is another kitchen. Granger Hemming's kitchen. Oh, cool. Check this out. Goes even further down. All right, I don't know if we can get into this house right here. This is the top of it. As you can see, take the porch all the way over to the main house. Let's take a peek. It says, please enter and watch step. Jefferson's first home on Monticello. Whoa, all to ourselves. All right, there's no AC in here. This is spectacular. We've got the bed over here, fireplace. We've got the wardrobe. And we've got a recreation of one of Martha Wales Skeleton's dresses. Mrs. Jefferson was small. Polly Lowe, like her mother, And long ways, the handsomest pretty lady just like her mother, Isaac Jefferson, 1845, original glass. Ooh, instant AC when you come out here. Thomas Jefferson's vegetable garden. And I am currently looking down upon it from Mulberry Road. Here's a look back at Monticello. All right, Monticello, we've got you all to ourselves right here. This little private tour. There you go, take a screenshot. Make it last longer. Did you get it? The sun is ablazing here. Main house back there, garden over here. A nice view. Thomas Jefferson's like bird viewing area out there. I don't know if we can get down there. Someone's down there. That's pretty neat. But at the end of Mulberry Road this way is the resting place of the Jeffersons. The foundation walls and the smokestack of Joiner's shop, circa 1775 and 1830. And they said Thomas Jefferson wanted to build the house here because he enjoyed the views from the mountaintop. All right, there's where we came, Monticello up there. This is what I see at the end of the pathway. I'm gonna step down so you can see there is a cemetery right before us. We cannot enter the cemetery, but it looks like, check this gate out. Hey, I just put that together. TJ. And I left my signed Declaration of Independence at the top of the hill. There's quite a few people buried in this cemetery. I wasn't expecting that. Over here where the people are gathered, I think that right there is where we need to be. Yeah, this is definitely it. Here was buried Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence of the United States, religious freedom, and father of the University of Virginia. Born April 2nd, 1743, died July 4th, 1826. And then we have George Wythe Randolph to the left, and also Mary Adams to the left of Jefferson's grave. The Monticello graveyard. This graveyard had its beginning in the agreement between two young men, Thomas Jefferson and Dabney Carr, who were schoolmates and friends. They agreed that they would be buried under a great oak which stood here. There still are some oak trees out here, but not the oak tree, it sounds like. According to it says right here, trail to visitor center. After we walk around this side, so you can walk all the way around the Jefferson Cemetery, but you can't go inside. And we have hit the gravel path. Because of the heat, I might be the only one taking the long way down to the visitor center, and I'm short on time, but it's not too bad. Also, I'm in the shade. And here you go. That was maybe 5 minutes tops from the cemetery. I walk kind of fast though. This is where we got on the shuttle. And I learned that Thomas Jefferson and I are the same height. Look at that. Just to prove it. 6'2.5". Although my license says 6'3", so maybe I shrunk a little bit, but we're about the same height. Maybe I'm a little taller. All right, I wanted to pop in real quick before I leave to see where that 1826 copy of the Declaration of Independence is. This right here is one of Jefferson's carriages. This is called a phaeton. Here's a picture of what's going on here. Two ponies pulling the phaeton. That's what you call a sports car back in the day. And there is another cafe down here, and they have hot meals and sandwiches. Oh man, that feels so good. I think I will grab a cold drink. I think I earned it. It's a big restaurant. How about a brewski? All right, I need a little soda in my body, and I don't want the carbs, so it's Coke Zero.
And your host, Thomas Jefferson.
Presumably having traveled great distances, and now finding ourselves all together in this western wilderness of Virginia, where I was born and grew up. And I do beg pardon for this extensive and heavy heat and humidity, but this is part and parcel for Virginia in the summertime. though I will say we are greatly comforted, are we not, in this remarkable emporium of a greater animation of cool airs than I've ever known, and a greater extent of illumination than I've ever known. Well, I only wish I had invented it. I would not be so deep in debt, now would I? But citizens, you've made the trek, and you must be bringing much on your mind. So I would like this to be an opportunity where you may feel free, safe, secure to talk about whatever it is that you bring here in mind. Think about that for a moment. If not here, where else? Where else upon the entire globe? This is how we learn. This is what I welcome more than anything else. Open and free inquiry, Socratic investigation, enlightenment. In fact, I'll be delighted to hear any suggestions for the further pursuit of science. Perhaps some have read, as I've written, I will follow science wherever it should lead us. I firmly believe that man and science are on a continued advance. The purpose? To improve the condition of man. So this is what I hope we may endeavor here. So many coming to visit, much on their mind, particularly this year 26, a significant year. I presume wherever you live, it is as significant, 1826. Citizens, I was not here in 1726, and I'm not going to live to see 1926. So I certainly hope it is the context, I hope it is the history that has encouraged you to come visit. Maybe some have read, as I've written, history should be the first and foremost read for every generation. And take it personally. Each of us has our own personal histories, family histories, people collectively their histories, nations their histories. And therefore, indeed, this is a significant year in our nation's history. Anyone know what it represents? 250. Good heavens, what an extraordinary miscalculation of extensive imagination. 250 years? Well, I certainly hope what we celebrate this year will continue another 200 years, another 250 beyond that. No, this year, 1826. Calculate. It's our 50th anniversary, 50 years, sir, 50 years. Imagine what we've seen. Extraordinary. And yet, if you would allow, imagine what I've seen prior to the last 50 years. This is why I hope you're speaking with the old folk before we're gone. Because as you know, the generation of our American Revolution is rapidly passing by the wayside. We can tell you what it was like. We can tell you the facts of what it was like to be born and grow up Englishmen. And not overnight either. Generations and centuries of English habits, English customs, English laws, and therefore this year that we may reflect with pride over our remarkable accomplishment. In fact, I share with you a letter that I received just the other day from John Adams. Imagine, he's still living. In fact, of all you see there, the 56 of us who could have been signing our death warrant 50 years ago, only 3 of us are still living. You see one before you. I referred to Mr. Adams. The other, anyone here from Maryland? Charles Carroll of Carrollton, who was one of the elders in the Continental Congress and one of the Catholics who signed our Declaration, thereby ensuring his freedom to hold his opinion upon religion as he chooses. And this is one of the reasons why Mr. Adams wrote me and said, Jefferson, I hope you're reminding everyone 600 miles southwards in your Virginia, as I'm reminding everyone up here in my Massachusetts, never forget, we're the first nation in the history of man founded upon laws, not men. And I immediately replied to him and I said, Adams, hope you're reminding everyone up north, as I'm reminding everyone down south, to never forget that we achieved something England never wanted to have happen. We were able to bring together 13 individual nations, e pluribus unum. Have you ever paused and pondered, how did we do that? That's what we were, 13 individual nations, arguing, bickering, one with the other, distant, disparate, one with the other. Remember differences of religious opinion in one versus a vast difference in another. The number of freeholders living in one versus the greater number of tenants living upon the freeholdings in another. There was the enslaving of man in every single one. And that is how England wanted to keep it. Why? Oh, it's as old as the hills. It's biblical. A house divided cannot stand. You know this? Keep a people arguing and bickering. Keep a people wondering what is fact, what is fiction. Keep a people misinformed. There it is, old as the hills. But all we had to do was look at our ledger books. And where was the money going? That's as old as the hills as well. Follow the money. Remember that? This was 50 years ago. What we had suffered for more than 2 generations, kept down under British mercantilism. We could not trade with any kingdom of Europe north of the Cape of Finiston, Spain. Everything had to go through England, bearing the weight here in the colonies of those tariffs. Not for our benefit, by any means. As is written in our Declaration, man is more prone to suffer while evils are sufferable, is he not, than to burst forth from the chains that hold him down, but after a long chain of abuses. And that, of course, is when we rose up in a frenzy of retaliation to grasp those inherent reins of self-government. And so it is, I've reminded Adams, never forget that one word, that founding principle, that was able to draw us together, e pluribus unum, one word.
Liberty.
Oh, you can't have liberty without this word. We cannot forget this. This is the word that helped bring these nations together, but also help us continue in the continuing expansion of our population. Its great diversity that holds us together, makes us the envy of the world in that diversity of our population. One word, please. We haven't forgotten it.
Independence.
You can't have independence without it. You can't have liberty without it. You can't have union without it.
Sacrifice.
Well, sacrifice is part of it.
Responsibility.
Responsibility is part of it. Equality, you can't have equality without it. I just heard it. I just heard it.
Compromise.
Say it loud, fam.
Compromise.
Compromise. Give this lady an ovation.
Yeah.
Compromise. That's how we did it. And that's how we must continue to move forward and progress on behalf of the common good, let alone our common safety and defense.
All right, we were invited to step outside and get a portrait with Thomas Jefferson. It is precisely 1 o'clock. Just realized, Thomas Jefferson just reminded us that the drafting of and the signing of the Declaration of Independence happened on July 2nd and ended July 4th. So we are here on the 250th anniversary of the start of the Declaration of Independence. All right, now on the hunt for one last thing here. The 2nd floor of the museum. I am in search for the 1826 copy of the Declaration of Independence. All right, I don't see the Declaration, but there are so many artifacts in here used by Thomas Jefferson. You gotta look. Check it out. Here it is. It's on the end cap. Declaration of Independence. Actually, it's 1823, not 26. But this is one of the oldest copies. And it was copied right off of the original. I'm getting goosebumps. Wow. Hope to see the original someday. Have not been to the Capitol. And this is a lovely gift shop. And it feels so good in here. They've got all kinds of stuff. Food, ceramics, plants, hot sauce, seeds from the Monticello garden. That's cool. Alright, it's 5 after 1. I am going to use the facilities and exit through the gift shop. We got to get going towards Mount Vernon. I still have plenty of time, but if there's any traffic, which there usually is around Fredericksburg, I might be in a pickle. So I want to give myself some time. I could spend all day here. There's so much stuff to see, and possibly I'll be back someday for sure. So hope you enjoyed the tour of Monticello. Let me know what you thought down there in the comment section. I should have remote started that thing sooner. It's hot. Hey Siri. Directions to Mount Vernon, Washington's home.
Getting directions to Mount Vernon using Google Maps.
All right, there's a little bit of traffic, just what I thought, in between Fredericksburg and Arlington. 2 hours and 30 minutes. Gonna get there around 3:40, which right now is 2 hours before my 5:40 tour. I think it's 5:40 or 5:45. All right, so I decided to fill up before I really get a rolling towards Washington. I'm assuming gas is gonna be more expensive towards Mount Vernon. So, all right, at 4:05, I'm about to turn right. I am 2.2 miles from Mount Vernon, George Washington's distillery and gristmill also. All right, here we are, George Washington's Mount Vernon. This looks like the Mount Vernon Inn right here. All right, so I have parked at the furthest parking lot, just a few parking spots left. George Washington's home is just as busy as Thomas Jefferson's home. We've got the rotunda, which I came around and parked to the left. We got the main gates over here, also the Mount Vernon Inn, and I think a restaurant right off the bat. It is currently 4:20. It took me a little bit more than I thought. Traffic got a little bad, mostly back roads along the way, and 2 stops and 1 slight wrong turn here in Mount Vernon. That's it. All right, reached the end of the parking lot. There's a map here. We are currently right here reading that map. I parked way off picture over here. We're walking towards the entrance. There is a restaurant and a food court over here. Once we enter here, it looks like we will walk out to Mount Vernon right here on the Potomac River. And as you can see, it's just as large and just as big as Monticello. All right, they got it decorated for the 250th. This is the main entrance. Looks like we're gonna enter here. I paid 30 bucks for this. I believe it's a self-guided tour. They sent me a QR code to an audio tour you can do if you choose to as well. There's a painting of Mount Vernon right there. Let's see what happens. We get a sign pointing to the left. All right, okay, so here we go. This is more like it. Got the tickets to the left, and we got security to the right, and a giant George Washington right there in the center. It's got his signature right there. And tickets over here, here's the breakdown. Adults are 30 bucks. That's what I paid online. All right, I got a map and guide. They said that they just scanned the QR code on my phone to enter, and there is a tour, and we meet at a certain point to take that tour. I just dropped my map. Whoops. All right, AC. Okay, just past security. This is what we're dealing with right off the bat. They have guest services right behind the Washington family. We've got grandson Washi, age 4, George Washington at age 53, Martha Washington, age 54, and granddaughter Nellie, age 6. I bet you're wondering how I knew all that. You may have already seen it. It's written on the floor. Pretty neat, huh? And they have a Mount Vernon 250 photo opportunity. It says free selfie station and free photos right here. So I'm going to take advantage of that. Okay, it looks like we walk towards this theater, and we have a giant model. Check it out. We're about ready to see the real version, but it's pretty cool to see it. A little appetizer before we get there. And then over here, they have stained glass. Looks like the reading of the Declaration of Independence. Washington reading it to his troops right there. 1776. And it looks like they have a presentation on a loop in this theater. I think we just missed it. Oh, it just started.
After you've entered the Texas Gate, begin your journey at the Ford Orientation Center, where audio guides and maps of the estate are available.
That's where we're at right now.
If your visit includes a mansion tour, take a look at your ticket. The time printed on it is when you can line up outside the mansion.
That's where we're heading. Good spoiler.
The mansion has been expertly restored to its 1799 condition.
Cool.
This was George and Martha Washington's showcase. Each room carefully decorated to display the wealth of a Virginia plantation.
Okay, walking up to the main gates. Out there they have a cooling station set up, just like back at Monticello, and it looks like the TV crew is setting up out here too. Something going on here as well for the 4th of July. And here it is, the main gates of Mount Vernon. Wow, very simple, I like it. And straight away, it looks like they're filming something. It's like a TV crane. George Washington devised as the central element of his landscape composition a level, well-manicured lawn, admiringly described by one French nobleman as a kind of a courtyard with green carpet. He called it his bowling green. This is an excerpt from Washington's diary right here. Began again as smooth the face of the lawn or bowling green on the west front of the house. September 30th, 1785. So here we are. Bowling Green is number 10 on the map. They told me to go to spot A to meet up with my tour guide. Now, I'm about an hour early, so hopefully we might be able to jump in on an earlier tour. Typically, that's what happens. Check out this giant oak tree. Oh my gosh. That thing was probably here when Washington was around. That's massive. It's got to be a couple hundred years old. Maybe 250. Maybe more. Oh my gosh. Could be like 300 years old. Look at that giant beetle. Holy cow. Non-indigenous, I would say. That thing is massive. It's my finger there. It's on another big tree. Not as big as the other one. Yeah, it looks like they're doing some kind of a broadcast right here at Mount Vernon. They got the tent set up over there for the film crew. Okay, it was planted circa 1785. Tulip poplar. It's the same size. Actually, it's a little smaller than the one back there. All right, here we are, waiting for my tour. This is big, but small at the same time. It's a little smaller than I imagined. This is a mic check. Really good. Yeah. That's cool. Alright, so you want to see something funny? Want to hear something funny? This whole time I thought I booked the 540 tour. I actually booked the 455 tour. That's my ADHD mind right there. So it is 4:48, so I'm on time. I didn't even hurry, just kind of going with the flow. I guess we were destined to be here on time for whatever reason. Whoops. Alright, so I just asked. I guess I could have started when I got here. The time ticket is for a line. When there is one, there's no line. So it's just when you start your self-guided tour. So you just go room by room, but you're not able to go past back there. Over here? Thank you. You're not able to go past there to start. We start over here on the left, as they just told me.
Well, welcome to Mount Vernon. This is the first stop on the mansion floor. It's one of the historic outbuildings here. This is what was referred to as the servants' hall.
Okay.
So this was originally built in the 1770s to accommodate the servants of many visitors to Mount Vernon. It was one of 5 different farms that made up an 8,000-acre plantation. This is based off of Washington surveys of his land.
Okay, nice.
So we're right here on Mansion House Farm. You can see Union Farm, Dog Run Farm, Muddy Hole Farm, and River Farm.
Okay.
Now there are also across the estate 317 enslaved men, women, and children. Here are the figures in green. You can see looking across the fields is the lives of the Washington family living in Mansion, where these figures in life live. The figures in yellow are the people that Washington hired to work across the estate. So you can see what the contrast in people that is.
Alright, so it looks like you just go room to room. They're setting up something up here. Something going on. And we enter Washington's house. Hi there. I was hoping I was going the right way.
Here for the mansion tour?
Yeah, it's just me.
Alright, well, into the mansion proper. So this room is called the New Room. They call it that because it's the last room that they completed. They were expanding their mansion. So this would be a multi-purpose event space. So you have that ceiling up there is 16 feet 7 inches. So it's built to make people have that reaction. Average house in North America would have fit entirely within this one room.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
This is where they'll be having dances, concerts, banquets, things like that. They have the enslaved staff of the house move furniture in and out of here as they needed for every kind of event. Okay. George Washington thought of himself as a farmer first and foremost, but he also had a vision for this country as an agricultural powerhouse. Saw a lot of inefficiencies when he was president and the way that Americans grew their crops, and he's traveling around the country. So he wants to fix that. With those details, he's trying to push conversations in that direction. Other thing I'll point out is these paintings up on the walls. You'll notice all have something in common. They all show rivers. In a time before there are good roads, the rivers serve as the natural highways. Easiest way to move people and goods around the country. So with these paintings, Washington was pushing his guests to think about what's connecting the states together into one nation.
All right, so you go right out to the piazza out here. They're setting up, and we go down to the next door. Just came out of that door. They're gonna have one 4th of July celebration out here, and we enter the store. It's an old door.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
All by yourself?
Yeah, it's just me. I actually started at Monticello this morning.
Oh wow, you're doing a marathon.
Yeah.
Just a little 4-room Cape Cod that George Washington's father.
Okay.
So that was this. These 4 rooms, the center hall. So Washington was 2 when he was here for a brief period. So he might have stepped on these 4 rooms.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Now these have all been replaced. So it's
yeah. Gotcha.
Not literally. But so then he inherits this place. He's still in the Virginia Regiment. He rents it from his older brother's widow, who she owns it. Mm-hmm. And then she dies, he inherits it. That shortly after he marries Mrs. Washington, and they move in here, and this is their bedroom.
Oh, right there.
Famous people go there in the front parlor. That's the parlor where Washington found out he'd been elected president.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. There's some portraits in there that kids, they look creepy. The guy didn't have big faces.
All right, now it's time to go upstairs.
So George Washington added this floor in 1759. That's the year he married Martha Washington. Martha Washington raised his status, raised his income, so he was able to add the 2nd floor. These are all guest rooms coming here. Unfortunately, we don't know who stayed where. They didn't keep those kinds of records, so we can't say, Thomas Jefferson stayed here for sure. What we know is that this room right here, this yellow room, is the fanciest of all the guest rooms. You can tell by all the furniture in there, all the fabrics and the wallpapers. So best guess, that is where people like Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, Abigail Adams would stay when they were visiting Mount Vernon. The blue room is the 2nd fanciest of all. The guy in the portrait on the far wall is the Marquis de Lafayette. That's also the room that he would stay in when he visited Mount Vernon, because he was considered more of a family member.
I saw his key downstairs.
Yes, and family members, when they visited the Washingtons, didn't get fancy guest bedroom.
Okay, so through the yellow room to Washington's bedroom.
You are looking at the Washington bedroom, my friend.
Wow.
A custom bed that Martha had made for the general when they were in Philadelphia, so that he could rest his head and his feet at the same time. It measures 6 foot by 6 inches, or 6 foot 6 inches. He stood just under 6'3" at the end of his life.
That's where he passed.
Shock to the nation. Washington lived in 7 feet here.
How tall was he? Do you know?
6'2.5". And so
same height as Jefferson.
Was Jefferson 6'2.5"?
Yeah, I was just at Monticello.
Yeah.
And I'm 6'2.5".
Yeah. Okay. So watch your head as you go down. You can duck just like Washington.
Totally had the duck.
Had so many because he felt that his formal education hadn't been very good. We called it defective, because a lot of wealthy young men back then went to Europe to study. His older half-brother Lawrence, in that portrait, had studied in England, for example. But their father died when George was 11, so they couldn't manage that. So he spent a lifetime collecting and reading books.
I'm sorry, did you say where they were keeping the books? Just in a safe place, or?
Well, in a temperature and
Temperature controlled
slot.
Gotcha.
Here at Mount Vernon.
That's nice.
They'll be back once. This is still a construction zone, as you can see on your way out.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything else, Kate, I'd like to mention?
Who's that?
John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones, okay. Wow.
That was a gift from him to the general.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You're headed to the kitchen, which is outside around to the left.
Outside around the left. Okay, that's the dining room again. Okay. All right. All right, we have come outside, and this is the kitchen. I like how you have a tour guide for each room. Setting a band up out here. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi.
Yeah, the kitchen is an original building. It was completed in 1775. They built the kitchen away from the house because they didn't want the smell of smoke or the heat. And maybe there was a case of a fire. Starting time here is approximately 4 in the morning. It would be 2 enslaved cooks. That would be Lucy and Nate. They got the orders from Lady Washington. She ran the kitchen. She planned the menu.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the cooking utensils, so the first thing to do is this oven over here is to get that preheated up to at least 425 degrees Fahrenheit and start baking fresh bread is to be placed on the dining room table every day. Now all the cooking utensils in this room are to the time period. The most technical piece sits in the middle of the fireplace. That's called a smoke jack. You got the hand iron with the skewer, and if you notice the end of the skewer there's a wheel and a chain. Well, that chain's attached to a fan that's in the chimney.
Ah, and
once
turns
they
it.
start cooking and all that exhaust goes up, hits that fan, put it into motion, that automatically starts to turn.
I noticed that Monticello, they had a similar jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So they're doing something with the cherries. There's sugar there, and the sugar's coming in from the West Indies, and he's trading flour for sugar.
Okay.
Yeah, sugar didn't come granulated back then. It came in a cone-shaped substance.
Yeah, they stored
These 2 rooms in here back. This was the larder. This would be for storage goods.
It's below ground.
Yeah, but if any meat, fish, or poultry, it's only going to last a day. So what you do would be to cook it, salt it, or smoke it. Now the salt house, well, the smokehouse is right here.
Oh, okay.
Smokehouse is this building there.
Okay, yeah, it looks like a smokehouse.
And then the salt house is back over here. That's the second building in from the gardener's cottage.
Okay.
That's the salt
Yeah,
house.
kind of looks like the smokehouse.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
That's the salt house.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the quarters for the...
The quarters for the enslaved people is around the corner.
Around the corner? Okay.
And you go through the greenhouse, go through the upper garden.
Yeah.
And then go through, you'll see the back of the greenhouse, but you'll also see, go around and you'll see the women, which was built in 1791. The men was built in 1792.
Okay.
But they're attached to the greenhouse.
All right. Greenhouse.
Yeah, and then at the end, if you go in, there's a exhibit called Lives Bound Together. There's air conditioning. There's a mural on the wall that shows you the cabins that were on the other side
check that out.
where the magnolia trees were.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is that the end of the...
Yeah, it's all of it right now self-guided.
Okay, thank you.
Either way. Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, so that's the end of the actual house tour. Everything left on the premises was self-guided. Did the best I could. Although I was by myself, each station is very brief. They are a weld oil machine. They're trying to get everyone through, so they don't skip a beat. And these look like George Washington stables over here on the southwest side. Here's a riding chair or carriage house. As a young man, George Washington acquired a riding chair similar to the 18th century example you see here. It smells like manure. Still smells like horse manure. I'm assuming they had horses in here. I don't know yet, but it smells like manure. There you go, horses. Nelson carried the general almost always during the American Revolution. In November of 1875, there were 21 horses at Mount Vernon, with most designated for pulling Washington's chariot, wagons, and carts. While work was the primary use of the horses, Washington also rode for recreation. Mrs. Washington's grandson, Washie, commented that before the War of Independence, Washington and guests went fox hunting up 3 times a week. Blueskin and Nelson are 2 horses Washington rode during the war. With Nelson being famously calm in battle, both horses earned a happy retirement to the fields. Washington's horses were right here that he rode in the Revolution. That's pretty amazing. Also, there's a bunch of flies. All right, making my way back to this side. I'm gonna check out the other side of Mount Vernon. Just want to point out that I think it's hotter now than it has been all day. I'm gonna have to check into that hydration station. All right, so started back that way, and then I saw this gate open. This is Lower Kitchen Garden. Secret Garden of Washington, maybe. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's really pretty. Big garden. And this is the clerk's office and quarters of George Washington. Looks like he had a loft here. And it's right here to put things into perspective. To copy and record letters and other papers, to keep books, and an account of articles received from and delivered to the farms would constitute your principal employment. George Washington to Alban Rawlins, February 12th, 1798. As someone that used to work for a local county clerk's office, I appreciate. Check out the old cobblestone here. This is like the drainage along the street. It's pretty impressive. And right here is the gardener's house. Check it out. Oh, I know what that is. That's a millstone. They have an old millstone for a stepping stone into the gardener's house. Built in 1775 and 1776, hospital for the sick by 1793. This structure had been designed or designated as a residence for the Mount Vernon gardener. In 1799, the gardener was a young bachelor named William Spence, who had been recruited from Scotland. The gardener played an important role on the estate, and Washington had high expectations for his performance. All right, so looks like they're closing up for the night, so I got to get out of here. I guess they closed at 5. I think I did book the last tour. All comes together now. I booked it so long ago. Check this out. They have all the signatures of the Declaration of Independence. I don't see Tampa J though. All right, so there was a lot that I didn't get to see. So they are closing, so I'll have to come back sometime and check out the rest of Mount Vernon for sure. But there's so much to see on the way out. The Lego Mount Vernon. Cool. Got the garden over here too we were just in. All right, this is where the crowd is. Ooh, it feels so good in here. Good to be back in AC land. These green comeback Windsor armchairs stood on Mount Vernon's piazza for more than 120 years. Here's a picture with a Civil War soldier sitting on the same chairs. Some photographs. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think Washington loved green. Hey, that's my favorite color. All right, this looks like the museum in here. Hello, Mr. Washington. Oh, wow. There's more in here. Bust of George Washington. The clay bust of George Washington is one of the most treasured objects in Mount Vernon's collection. Oh yeah, there's so many artifacts in here. Portraits and paintings. There's the room we were just in with George Washington's famous painting right there. Portrait of young George Washington here, wearing the British uniform. French and Indian War, and check this out. George Washington's sword. A couple of them. The Marquis of de Lafayette likely presented this regulation French military sword to George Washington in 1780. Got Washington China right here. You smile sometimes at my fondness for relics. I attach an inexpressible value to all which has been touched by those I loved. He was a collector. This is George and Martha Washington's wedding silver. Oh, check it out. Look at that. It's the punch tap. I'm assuming they put punch in there. George and Martha Washington's tea set. Cool. All right, this exhibit's called A Revolutionary Life. Wow. This is a lot more than I expected. You can walk through the life of George Washington. Okay, yeah, we start in 1732. Washington's family comes to America.
I was 15 years old when Colonel William Fairfax encouraged me to learn to be a surveyor.
My first time in Pittsburgh, I went to Fort Pitt. Washington was stationed in Pittsburgh. One of the biggest battles of that war was right there. He won it. The gown of Martha Washington, a replica of one of them. Famous portrait of George Washington and sash. You could do a whole video on this museum, some of the rifles of the Revolutionary War. And we got Washington, the Winter Valley Forge. Check that out. This is one of Washington's mobile beds during the American Revolution. He slept right there. That's pretty cool. Check it out. This place is massive. All right, we exit. Gift shop, also cafeteria. All right, I showed the Monticello water. I got to show the Mount Vernon water. Oh, look at this. Happy 250th plushie toy. They do have 250th Mount Vernon merch. Also, there's a picture with George right on the front there. First in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen. All right, they got plenty of merchandise in here. All Mount Vernon and Washington, of course. All right, we did it. We exit through the gift shop. We come out right here just before the George Washington Inn. What'd you guys think? Again, let me know down there in the comment section. Let me know what I missed. I obviously missed a lot because I got here towards closing. Come and check it out for yourself. I did Washington's house and Jefferson's house in one day. Goal accomplished. And now I'm heading up the road about 30 minutes just outside of Washington, D.C. My hotel tonight is in Arlington. And I made sure I had quite the view. So we're gonna go check that out now and go check into my hotel. Got a souvenir at both places. All right, so the event is happening tonight, and these are all the people here for the event. 33 minutes, it's a straight shot. Check that out. Arlington. It looks like I'm traveling most of the way up along the Potomac River, all the way to Arlington. There you go, guys, the Pentagon. Less than a mile to my hotel. That's actually it right there. The Sheraton. There it is. This is actually my second time staying here at the Sheraton Pentagon. First time was my first time ever visiting Washington, D.C. on a road trip in 2014. Several years before I started my YouTube channel. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take a ticket, but they'll comp me for parking. And I made sure to park right by the elevators. This should take me right up to the lobby. Get all checked in. Whoops, I got my hands full, I'm zooming in. All right, I'm in line to check in. Got the ballroom straight ahead. Quite a few people online. All right, guys, all checked in, made it to my room. I am a Marriott Bonvoy member. They upgraded me. I have a suite. This is the living room. We'll save the view for last, okay? That's why I booked this room, or booked this hotel. So closet over here, outside of the living room, into the bedroom, which is really nice. Big king size bed, got a table over there. I'll probably edit my video right there in that nook. I like that. I'm gonna have my back against the wall, so got like a lamp, got a little coffee maker. I'm hoping they have a mini fridge. Yep, it's a really mini fridge, but that'll do the job. And then here is the bathroom. We've got a double sink going on here. There we are. Hey guys. And then just a basic loo and shower. It's dark in here, but you can see what's going on. Just basic, very clean. Also, we got a safe in there. And let's check out the view. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. here we are. Okay, so straight away we have, I believe that's the Air Force Memorial right there, the Pentagon, and then out there you can see the Lincoln Memorial, which is like right there. Then you have the Capitol building, and over here is the Washington Monument. And here comes a plane about to land at Reagan International, which is right over there. And look at that, the Washington Monument and the Jefferson Monument in frame right there. It's almost like I planned that. Sure didn't. So, just booked one night here in Arlington looking out over Washington, D.C. Just one night. And I wanted to make sure I made it count. I wanted to give myself a view. Give you guys a view. Thanks for watching this video. Check out the Pentagon. And I think the view is better from this room over here. Check it out. Just a different angle. You can see more of the Pentagon. 250 years come 2 days. In the words of Forrest Gump, our nation's capital. Alright guys, it's been a long day. It's been a long time since Charlottesville. I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope everyone has a safe, a great, happy holiday weekend. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Feel free to give it a thumbs up, comment down there, do all the things if it was your first time here. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel. And as I always say, there's much ahead. Tomorrow is day 3 of this road trip, and I'm excited. In the next couple of days, I'll be hanging out with friends too, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I will be taking you guys with me. So I really appreciate you coming along. Hope to see you there. Know you're awesome, know you're loved, and no matter who you are, and no matter what you're going through, just know that there is always much ahead. Thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow.